A little over a year ago, Disney overdosed on skooma, and their delusion really went off the rails when they finally launched their Star Wars hotel experience. This was a prime receptacle for spitballs and tomatoes. Boos heard around the world because it was laughably overpriced and extremely confusing on what you were even paying for in the first place. It was initially announced like way back in 2017, and it was supposed to carry a price tag of $6,000 for a 2-night stay, but it could go as low as $4,000 as well. It's called the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and it's supposed to be a fully immersive Star Wars experience for superfans to spend 2 nights in this like underground bunker hotel facility that's supposed to be like a murder mystery, song and dance with all kinds of Star Wars characters, as well as a hotel, as well as fine dining. It basically just takes a ton of different things, threw it at a dartboard and said, okay, it's going in the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. We're going to charge a fucking outrageous price. At $4,000 or $6,000 for 2 nights, I would expect to have a room on a legitimate fucking spaceship. With that amount of money, those rooms better be coming with that titty alien that Mark Hamill milks in the movie. Like, that is a crazy price tag. $1,200 per person per night? My god. You'd need to be like fucking Scrooge McDuck to be able to afford that, or the biggest Star Wars fan in the world who's willing to just dump everything into a 2-night experience. But what's crazy is, it looks miserable to stay in. Here's the rooms. Here's one of the 100 cabin rooms. It's basically like a little prison. Like, your children get these small pods in the wall. The bed looks rather small. Like, this is not what you would expect for this amount of money. You go to the goddamn Star Wars gulag. It's so startling. There's no windows. Like, keep in mind, there's no windows in these rooms. All you get is these little screens supposed to look like you're out in space, but it looks really dated. It doesn't seem like they put a whole lot of effort into that, but I haven't been, so maybe it's cooler in person. But there's no windows, so you're basically going in there into like a goddamn stasis chamber there, 2 days away from the world. And when you're not forsaken to your solitary confinement room on the Star Wars Galactic Looney Bin, you get interactive theater out the wazoo, which to me sounds like one of the circles of hell somewhere, where you can't escape theater and people in character for Star Wars 24/7. That just seems way too much. So the pictures I'm getting are from a video from DFB Guides, who went over the entire Star Wars hotel experience, and overall it's just an expensive, confusing, jumbled mess from everything I've seen. And this opened only a little over a year ago, and it's already closing. This was a complete disaster for Disney, I imagine. Of course, I'm not their fucking accountant. I can't flip through their books here and double check. But I just can't imagine at that price point, as well as how awful their marketing had been for it, that it was financially successful for them. They're writing it off as like a business decision that they've decided to close it so shortly after launch, but that doesn't make any sense. That just sounds like a bad business decision if it was doing well. It's 100 cabins, clearly a very expensive endeavor, and they're already giving up after a year. When this shit launched, it had terrible publicity. Like, they made these marketing pitches that gave people no insight into what they were paying for. So people already started kind of wiping their ass with the whole idea of even staying there or considering it. It turned everyone off immediately, and it's never recovered. Now, it's worth mentioning, among the people that have paid a visit to this facility, the majority of them are saying that they enjoyed it and that it was worth the cost. I don't know if that's genuine or if it's some level of brainwashing where they paid so much money that they convinced themselves that they had to enjoy it, thus they did. But people did seem to like it when they paid all that money for it, and that makes sense because if you're a super fan of Star Wars, there's nothing you're going to dislike about it. You're just perpetually inundated with constant stimulation of Star Wars shit, so I imagine most fans probably would have loved it. I still don't know how you could really like the rooms, though. Even in all the videos I've seen and all the people that visit the rooms, they are super small for how much you're paying. You are not getting, like, a luxury cabin. It's very much like a summer camp, like band camp fucking cabin here. I'm still a bit baffled by the decision to have the guests stay in these tight, windowless quarters. Like, that sounds miserable. Why that? Like, what's the next Star Wars hotel gonna be? Pay $10,000 and we'll freeze you in carbonite like Han Solo? Like, this is not a comfortable stay, which I think is just ridiculous for how much you're paying to be there. And where you sleep in a hotel, I would argue, is the most important thing about a hotel. Though I guess in this case it's supposed to be more than that. It's supposed to be like a Star Wars experience where you fucking transcend the human race for a brief moment and take a journey into fantasy. But then when you come out from reality, you leave this underground nuclear fallout shelter of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, you realize you're $6,000 down and about to miss a house payment or something. I still can't get over just how expensive this fucking place is, or was. The final voyage is coming up in September, so it's on its way out, but still. One other thing I want to mention is when these announcement videos were first coming out, these pictures were first surfacing of the experience, one thing that I heavily criticized was the food. It hypes itself up as being like fine dining, pinky out establishment kind of thing. And the food they were showcasing looked like slop, actual prison slop that they would serve on a tray at like a maximum security ward. It didn't look like high quality food for that price. It'd have names like the Yakbi Shrimp Blue Milk Glorb Stuffer, and what you would see on the plate is like 2 tiddlywinks of pork and a small piece of bread or something. But after going through and watching more of the videos over the last like 4 or 5 months, the food does look fine. So I don't know why they chose the most unflattering promotional pieces for their food in the beginning, but it does seem like the food is a big hit with the people that go there, and from what I see, it looks fine. Albeit it has the cardinal sin that every high dining facility has, where you get portion sizes that wouldn't be enough to fill the belly of a bumblebee. So that's always, in my opinion, a bit of a scam to charge so much and receive so little, but that's just the trend in very expensive restaurants, unfortunately. I always think portion sizes are important, so if you're paying a lot of money, you should be able to fill your full belly. You should walk out of there feeling full, satisfied, and your gluttony, satiated. But anyway, the food does look fine, and that was something that I was very vocal about in the beginning, being lackluster. Some of you may remember I toyed around with the idea of getting the gang together and spending the 2 nights at that hotel, but we really sidelined that idea, fucking flushed that down the toilet because that is way too expensive. So I don't think we're ever going to do that. That's not worth the amount of money for the sake of like basically a joke or just to experience something awful. Like none of us are huge Star Wars fans. Like I like Star Wars, I couldn't stand the new trilogy, but overall I love the Star Wars universe, especially everything with the Old Republic. This has nothing to do with that, so this wouldn't even be in my favorite era of Star Wars. And none of my friends are big Star Wars fanatics either, so it's not like we'd get anything out of this other than like not having fun and trying to make a joke out of it, which is not worth fucking $6,000. So I don't think that's happening. I want to go ahead and clear that up. We're not going even before it closes. It's not worth it. Now, at the funeral for the Star Wars hotel, Disney's trying to put on a strong face, saying that this premium boutique experience gave us the opportunity to try new things on a smaller scale of 100 rooms, and as we prepare for its final voyage, we'll take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans. I'm not on the Disney Superstar Board of Directors or anything, but I'll offer you some free consultation here. Lower the price. No one is paying $1,200 per person per night. That's a crazy ask. You could have saved yourself a huge headache if you just made this more accessible financially for most people. I think that's the way that you reach new guests and more fans, right? Like it seems like a pretty simple solution to the mathematical equation here. So I think it was just way too expensive. I have no doubt there's a lot of people that probably would have loved to go there and couldn't afford to. So they completely missed out on that entire market. Now, like I said, they are trying to treat it like a learning experience, and I have no doubt they fucking learned a lot from this. They invested a ton into the project, a lot of time and a lot of money, and they're kind of eating shit on it, it seems. So, yeah, that's really about it. See ya.